For the same DCT 2018 B series, now we are going to solve questions on subject called digital communication. In that, the question number 92, it says that the principle used in the propagation of light within the optical fiber is. The options are going below. The first one is refraction, the second one is total internal reflection, and the third one is diffraction, and fourth one is none of the above. The answer for this question is the total internal reflection. The total internal reflection is the complete reflection of light when light travels from denser medium to the rarer medium, as well as the angle of incidence should be greater than the critical angle. If these two conditions happen, then the total internal reflection will occur. Consider optical fiber. In optical fiber we are having core and cladding. Core is having a denser medium, means here the refractive index is greater than the refractive index in the cladding surface. Okay, when light travels from denser medium to the rarer medium, when it reaches the core cladding interface, suppose if the angle of incidence is greater than the critical angle, then reflection will take place. Okay, we know the condition for the total internal reflection. If the angle of incidence, that is I, this is I, okay, if it is greater than the critical angle, then total internal reflection will occur. Similarly, the condition 2 says that the light must travel from denser medium to the rarer medium. Here the light is traveling from denser medium. The denser medium is core. Okay, it is traveling from denser medium to the rarer medium. Here rarer medium is the cladding, that is N2. Okay, if these two conditions satisfies, then the total internal reflection will occur. Okay, here the light travels from denser medium to the rarer medium due to the angle of incidence is greater than the critical angle, and as well as the core is having a more refractive index than the cladding. Okay, then it will reflect back to the same denser medium, that is core. Similarly, it continues like this. So light propagates in core medium. Okay, then coming to refraction. The refraction means when light travels from one direction to the or one medium to the another medium, it changes its direction. Suppose consider here it is a denser medium and it is a rarer medium. Okay, this is normal to the surface. When light ray travels from denser medium to the rarer medium, then it reflects, then it bends away. This is normal, bends away from the normal. This is a refracted ray. This is an incident ray. Okay, this is normal. Okay, the refraction means when the light travels from one medium to another medium, it changes its direction. Suppose when the light travels from denser medium to the rarer medium, then the incident ray is refracted. That means the refracted ray, the light ray changes its direction. That means it bends away from the normal. It is bending away from the normal. Similarly, when the light travels from rarer medium to the denser medium, when light ray travels from rarer medium to the denser medium, then it bends towards the normal. This is normal and this is the refracted ray. Okay, then coming to diffraction. The diffraction will happen. The diffraction is nothing but bending of light ray due to some obstacle. Okay, this is a slit and this is a light source. This is a light source. Okay, due to small. The question number 121, that is the condition for the Nyquist rate is given by. The options are given below, that is Fs is greater than or equal to 2 FM. The second option is Fs is less than or equal to 2 FM. The third one is Fs is greater than 2 FM. and the fourth one is Fs is equal to 2Fm. The Nyquist rate states that when sampling rate or the sampling frequency becomes exactly equal to the twice the highest frequency content of the message signal. Okay, so from these options the fourth one, that is Fs is equal to 2Fm, is the right option for this question. That is, the sampling frequency or the sampling rate becomes exactly equal to the twice the highest frequency content of the message signal. Consider a message signal of the frequency spectrum. It is the upper part of the message signal and this is the lower part or lower content of the message signal. When this message signal is sampled, then we are getting a sampled signals. When we get perfect sample signals means when Fs is equal to 2Fm. When this condition is satisfied, then for the message signal we get a perfect sample signals. That means a highest frequency content of the message signal and the lowest frequency content of the message signal should be clear. But when Fs is less than 2Fm, when we get effect called aliasing. The aliasing means here the highest frequency content of the message signal is interfere with the lowest frequency content of the message signal. So here we are not getting the perfect sample signals. Similarly, when Fs is equal to greater than 2Fm, here also we are not getting a perfect sample signals for the message signal. When Fs is greater than 2Fm, here the upper content of the message signal and a lower content of the message signal, there is a band gap. There is a band gap occurs between upper part of the message signal and the lower part of the message or sample signal. So for perfect sample signals, that is Fs is equal to 2Fm, condition has to be satisfied, that is for Nyquist rate. So from these options, the fourth one, that is Fs is equal to 2Fm, is the right option for this question. The question number 122, that is, if the probability P of xi is equal to 1 by 4, then what is the amount of information? The options are given below. The first one is 2 bits, the second one is 3 bits, and the third one is 4 bits, and fourth one is 1 bit. The amount of information is calculated by using the formula, that is I of xi is equal to minus log of P of xi. Suppose if you consider a base of the logarithm is 2, then the units are called bits. Okay, if base of the logarithm is 2, then the units are called bits. Similarly, if base of the logarithm is 10, then the bits are called decids. If base of the logarithm is 10, then the units are called decids. Similarly, if base of the logarithm is e, then the units are called nines. But in this problem, they are mentioned in bits, so we are taking logarithm of a base 2. Okay, we know that they are given P of xi is equal to 1 by 4. Simply substitute the value of P of xi, that is 1 by 4. Okay, then you can simplify this, minus log of 1 by 4 to the base e divided by log of 2 to the base e. We know that log of a to the base 2 can be simply written as log a to the base e divided by log 2 to the base e. Okay, then if you simplify this, then you can get the value is minus of minus 2. So minus into minus plus, that means 2 bits. We are getting the value 2 bits. That is the amount of information is 2 bits. From this option, the first one is the right option for this question. The question number 123 in data modulation, if step size is too large, then it undergoes. The first one is slope overload distortion, the second one is granular noise, the third one is both 1 and 2, and the fourth one is none of the above. The delta modulation has two major disadvantages. The first one is slope overload distortion and the second one is granular noise. The slope overload distortion occurs because of the large dynamic range of the input signal. That means the rate of rise of input signal will be so high that the staircase signal cannot be approximate it. Here the step size becomes too small when compared to the input signal. Hence there is a large gap or error between the input signal x of t and the staircase signal u of t. This error is called as the slope overload distortion. And in granular noise occurs because of the small dynamic range of the small change in the dynamic range of the input signal. That means the step size becomes too large for small variation in the input signal. Okay, that means for very small variation in the input signal, here we are getting the staircase signal of larger step size. This type of signal is called as the granular noise. Means the granular noise occurs when there is a small variation in the input signal. We are getting the staircase signal of a larger step size. So from these options, the second one, that is granular noise, is the right option for this question. The question number 124, that is alternate mark inversion, that is AMI, is also referred as. The first option is polar NRZ and RZ. The second one is unipolar NRZ and RZ. And the third option is bipolar NRZ and RZ. And the fourth one is split phase Manchester. When discrete signal is transmitted over a band-limited channel, then these signals get distorted due to the overlapping of adjacent channels, and this phenomenon is called as inter-symbol interference, that is ISI. And this phenomenon can be eliminated by using the PM formats, and there is some kinds of PM formats that are called line codes. That is unipolar RZ, unipolar NRZ, PLR RZ, PLR NRZ, bipolar NRZ, and split phase Manchester. These are all line codes. In unipolar RZ, it is having a single polarity. Uni means single, polar means polarity. That means it is having only a positive amplitude. And 1 0 1 1 0 0 1, these are all the binary sequences. For 1, the amplitude will be high, that is positive amplitude is present for half time period. In unipolar RZ, for binary value 1, the amplitude is present, that is positive amplitude is present for only half time period. And more than half time period, the amplitude becomes 0, that means return to 0. Similarly, for 0, it is having 0 amplitude. When it comes to 1, then for only half time period, the amplitude becomes positive, and more than half period, the signal returns to 0. That is, in unipolar RZ, it is having a single polarity, that is a positive amplitude. For binary sequence 1, for binary value 1, the amplitude becomes positive for only a half time period. For more than half time period, it returns to a 0. That means 0 amplitude. Coming to unipolar NRZ. In this, that is, it is also having a single polarity, that is of positive amplitude, but it remains a one, that is high amplitude for a whole time period. For a whole time period, the signals, the amplitude becomes 1, that is high. For 0, it is having a 0 amplitude. For 1, for binary value 1, the signal becomes high, that means having a positive amplitude, and it remains 1 for a full time period. Then coming to polar RZ. In polar RZ, we are having two amplitudes, that is positive amplitude and the negative amplitude. In positive amplitude, it remains a positive amplitude for only a half time period. For more than half time period, it returns to 0. RZ referred it as a return to 0. For 0, it is having a negative value, and it remains in a negative value when for a half time period, and it goes on. In polar NRZ, it is having a two polarity, that is positive amplitude and the negative amplitude. But here, for binary value 1, the amplitude becomes 1 for whole time period. And coming to bipolar NRZ, it is also similar to a polar NRZ, but in bipolar NRZ, for binary value 1, it is having a positive amplitude, that is A by 2, and it remains same for whole time period. When for the binary value 0, the amplitude becomes 0. For in polar NRZ, for 0 input value, we are having the negative amplitude, but in bipolar NRZ, for 0 input value, we are having 0 amplitude. Okay, you are getting the 0 amplitude in bipolar NRZ, and for one binary value, we are getting negative amplitude, but in polar NRZ, we are getting for one input value, for binary value 1, we are getting positive amplitude, but in bipolar NRZ, we are getting negative amplitude. For another one, for another input value of 1, we are getting a positive amplitude. For 0 input value, we are getting 0 0. Consider here, for first binary value, that is 1, we are getting positive amplitude in bipolar NRZ, but in second binary value 1, we are getting negative amplitude. That means here, for binary sequence 1 only, it is operating. How it is operating? It is inverting. For first binary value 1, we are getting positive amplitude. For second binary value, that is 1, we are getting negative amplitude. For third binary value, we are getting again positive value. That means bipolar NRZ, it is operating for binary value 1. That is, it is alternating. That is inverting. First for binary value 1, we are getting positive amplitude. For second binary value 1, we are getting negative amplitude. For third binary value, we are getting again positive value. So, in this condition, we are giving, or we are referring it as a alternate mark inversion. Inversion means the binary value is inverting. That means positive amplitude. For again binary value, we are getting negative amplitude. That means we are inverting. In split phase Manchester, we are, for binary value 1, we are getting a signal like this. For 1, in a split phase Manchester, we are getting this type of signal, that is 1 to 0, that is high to low. For 0 binary value in split phase Manchester, we are getting 0 to low signal in split phase Manchester. So from these option, that is bipolar NRZ and RZ is the right option for this question. The question number 125, that is the envelope detector is used in dash type of detection of BFSK signal. The first option is coherent detection of BFSK, the second one is non-coherent detection of BFSK, the third one is both 1 and 2, and the fourth one is none of the above. Here, the coherent detection and the non-coherent detection, these are the demodulation techniques of BFSK signal, where BFSK means binary frequency shift keying. The binary frequency shift keying, what is meant by binary frequency shift keying? The frequency shift keying means the frequency of the carrier signal is varied in accordance with the message signal, which is present in the form of binary values, that is zeros or ones. Here, the coherent detection, this is the demodulation technique of BFSK signal. In this technique, the local carrier and the transmitted carrier both are in phase. That means the BFSK signal has two frequency components. First one is higher frequency component and the second one is lower frequency component. When this higher frequency component, it is multiplied with the local carrier and then it is fed into the integrator circuit. At the output of the integrator circuit, we are getting a signal called S1 of t. Similarly, the lower frequency component or content of a BFSK signal is multiplied with the lower carrier frequency in the product modulator, and then this fed back to the integrator circuit. At the output of the integrator circuit, we are getting S2 of t of a signal, and these two signals are added in the adder circuit. So at the output we are getting y of t signal. If y of t signal is greater than 0, then the output becomes 1. Similarly, if y of t is less than 0, we are getting 0. So we are getting binary values, that is ones or zeros. That means in the demodulation process, the BFSK signal is demodulated into binary values, that is ones and zeros. In coherent detection, the local carrier and the transmitted carrier are in a phase. But in non-coherent detection, both local carrier and the transmitted carrier need not be in phase or need not be in a phase or need not be in a phase. Here, the higher frequency component and the lower frequency component signal is passed through the BPF, that is band pass filter. The band pass filter, it only allows a certain band of frequencies. Okay, and then it is fed to the envelope detector. The envelope detector is, its main function is to demodulate the higher frequency component of a BFSK signal, and then output of this signal is then applied to the comparator circuit. The comparator circuit checks the input values and gives their corresponding values. So here also we are getting a binary values, zeros and ones. So from these options, that is the second option, that is non-coherent detection of BFSK is the right option, because the envelope detector is used in the non-coherent detection. So the second one is the right option.